Okay, so usually for a lot of people, this is about as far as they get with project. They've got all of their tasks in there, they've got the relationships, they have all of their resources applied. Everything is all pretty much perfect. The only thing left to do really is to wait for the project to actually start in reality and kind of watch it. And that's as far, like I said, that's about as far as people go. Well, a big part of doing this to begin with, creating a project and doing all the things that we've done, is that you eventually are going to be in a situation where now the project has begun and you are now tracking the project. You are kind of acting up, or I should say, you're kind of like managing the project. You're getting in touch with the different managers, the different resources that are working on various tasks, and you're making sure that they've started to do what they're supposed to be doing, and you're just keeping tabs on it. You're almost like a foreman, and you're going to run into situations where you might ask maybe for this particular task here, you got Clutch and Herman on this one. You talk to them, you say, how's it going? And they might say, you know what, I know we were supposed to start yesterday, but we couldn't get started. It looks like we might be going until, or we might not be starting until tomorrow or the next day. Things like that can happen. So what we need to do is establish initially what we call a baseline, and the baseline is kind of like our budget. And from that point, as we track the project in real time, or maybe we're having to add days or having to add new people and stuff like that, we're going to be able to see if we're going to end up being over budget, under budget, ahead of schedule, behind the schedule, and we're going to know that firsthand. We're going to know that right away because of the way the system does the tracking, as you'll see. But the big thing is you need to track it, and you need to, and in order to do that, you need to set this baseline. All right. So let me give you a little tour here. All right. First of all, if I go over into the the project tab here, and I go over here to project information, there's a button on here called statistics, and I click onto that. Simple little window here, and what it does, it shows me currently when my project is going to start, when it's going to be ending, right? And it's also going to then have in there the current number of days, the number of work hours, how many man hours we have there, the cost, and that kind of stuff. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to save this under a baseline. We're going to save the project as a baseline. And when we do that, all of this information will get copied into the baseline, all right, into the budget, all right? Then at that point, from that point on, if anything changes, tasks become longer, we add more resources to a particular task, remove them, things like that, you'll actually see that change in this area here, along with having a variance with the days. So if the project ends up at this point now, as you're tracking it, with a couple extra days, then it'll show a 2-day variance here, right? If for some reason you're able to pull it back a little bit, where you're able to shorten up a few of these tasks because maybe they get done quicker than expected, then that goes into there, and you might end up with negative variance, which would be a good thing, all right? And all those changes as well are going to change the duration, in days. It's going to show a change probably in the man hours, and most likely a change in the cost sometimes, depending if you've added new resources or added more days and things like that. And then if this is in a real reality type situation, you find yourself going over budget, you find yourself going or getting behind schedule, you might have to look further down the line here on tasks that have not yet started, right? And maybe go there and say, hey, listen, I need to pull back maybe an extra day or two. In other words, maybe instead of it being 14 days, it's going to be maybe, sorry, 14 days, right? Instead of it being 4 days, I need to trim it down to maybe 2 days, right? And maybe go to this one here and say, listen, we need to knock it down to 4 days or something like that. And by doing those kind of things, we'll be able to pull the schedule back a little bit, right? Shorten up the Gantt bars there, shorten up the duration, and therefore start pulling this back so where we can maybe get this back to having no variance there, and to get the dollars back to where they'll be less than what we have, or it'll be, either below the baseline or at the baseline or close to. But we're constantly going in there and changing things. But you'll see this as we track the project. But that's what we have to do, as managers, right? As project managers, right? Even though you don't maybe think of yourself as a project manager, you're a project manager if you're doing this. So let me close this up, and let me show you how then we're going to establish the baseline, right? So all we have to do really is we first of all make sure that, hey, what we have here is perfect. It's what you've told your boss or your customer or whoever it is. You've showed them this. They say, great, go for it. So at that point then, we go over into the project tab, and we go over here where it says set baseline. So we click onto that. We click on the set baseline. And there we go. And all you really have to do now at this point is just hit OK. And that's it. Now what has that done? Well, it's set up a lot of stuff going on in the background in the database, to where if we go back to project information now, go back to our statistics, now we've got that baseline established. It just basically copied what we have here down. Same thing with the days, with the man hours, with the cost. It's all there. Okay? Now, let's just say that you just did that, right? And a few hours later, you realize there's a mistake in here. All right? We need to make some changes, right? And it turns out that you look at this one right here, this particular task here, and you're going, you know what? I just have this funny feeling that they're going to need an extra day on this, right? So we're going to bring this up to 4 days. Enter that in. All right. Things will change. We'll click back on there, hit our little smart tag here, and basically confirm what we're doing here. And there we go. Now, what's happened? Well, most likely we've kind of moved the project out a little bit, at least by a day or so, right? How can we tell? Well, if we go back into project information, go back to the statistics, you will see, well, it looks like nothing really happened as far as the time goes, because obviously these guys are pushed in a certain way where it didn't affect the overall project, right? So it looks like it's still on schedule, but because we had added an extra day there, we've gone from 501,600 to 504. So we've gone up almost like $3,200 just by doing that. We've also increased the man hours, but we haven't increased our duration, it looks like, for some reason. And that's probably due to the fact that we've got the overlapping task here. So we're good there, all right? So that's the kind of thing you'll see. Now you might go a bit further down and go, I think on this one here, maybe we can bring that back a little bit, right? So let's say we tell, Gomez, I think I gave you too many days to do this, and I really feel that you can pretty much knock this thing down in 4 days, all right? So we do the 4 days, hit the enter key. Now we're going to get that over allocation stuff happening, right? And so, but that's okay. So what we're going to have to do is go back to that task, click on to the smart tag there, tell it or confirm what we're doing here, All right. And then what are we going to do? Well, we're kind of desperate here. We really don't want to have to mess with this too much. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do like an automatic leveling on this, right? So we're going to go over to our resources here, all right? And I'm going to go over here to the level. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to do the level all. I'm just going to hit the next over allocation. It'll bring me to the first one up there, right? And I'm going to tell it that I need to level it. So I'll level the resource. Gomez, level now. There it goes. Took care of it. So what did it end up doing? Well, I don't know if it, I forgot to look at the date here, but you saw things kind of shift over there a little bit. But the point of the matter is we got the fewer days in there. Now, if we go back into project and go back to the project information, go back to statistics, we can see there that we haven't, it hasn't changed as far as the duration goes. And it looks like we might have brought our man hours back into play here. So I think overall, I think we did pretty good. All right, we were by just the way this thing is laid out, it was able to kind of change things around. So that worked perfect. So that's good. But now, what we still want to do though is now that we've done this, now we need to maybe reestablish the baseline, just overwrite the original one, all right? Because right now, let me just go back in there again. If you go back to the statistics, the only really big thing that has changed here is just the cost. And the cost has gone up just slightly, all right? So we want to take all that information, well, just that one really, because that's the only thing that's really changed, and copy it down and redo the baseline here. So we'll go and close that up. We'll go back into project. We'll go back over to set baseline. Now you could hit clear baseline and all that, but you don't need to do that. What you can do is just go back to set baseline. All right, there we go. And just hit OK. It'll say it's already been established, you know, on whatever date. Do you want to override the data in the baseline? We say sure. So we do that. There we go. Now if we go back into project, go to project information, or actually project information, go back to statistics, and now we're back, and we're back to square there. So we're good. So now we just await, you know, starting the project. So now maybe a few days more pass, and we are told that there's going to be a delay in the start of the project for whatever reason. All right. Now currently, and you remember we had done this number of videos back, we had set the start date of the project for 5/15, all right? And now what's happening is that they are delaying it, and they're saying that we can't start it until sometime in June, okay? Now, this can be pretty bad. We don't know. Because we've got a lot of the tasks that we had assigned our resources to. Some of them we had done where the resource worked on a Saturday or worked on a Saturday and a Sunday as well. So now what's going to happen is some of those are going to get pushed off and not, you know, and we'll kind of lose that effect. But then other bars will go over a weekend that don't have that type of worker on it, and we're going to end up, you know, extending the duration of that particular task. So it can get kind of messy here. So we say, okay, fine, and so we're told it's going to start on June whatever. So what do we do at this point then? Well, we have to go back in, and we're going to go back to project, go to our project information, and tell it that the start date now is going to be, and we click on our little drop down here, we're going to go into June, and they're telling us it's going to start on June 5th. So we got to click on the June 5th there, right? And we're scheduling this from the beginning, so it's going to kind of push it out to the right into the future, right? So we do that, we hit OK, and there we go. All right. Now, I'll look at this. I'll kind of go through this, make sure that I don't have any over allocation for some reason. I don't see why I would, but I just kind of check it anyway. That looks fine. All right. And now the project is going to start on 210. So we're quite a ways out now, obviously. All right. So at that point, you're saying to yourself, well, I need to reestablish the baseline. But let's see what that's done to us, if that's actually messed us up as far as dollars go, right? So we'll go back into project information, go back to statistics, and we'll look at this and we'll say, nope, everything looks okay here. The only difference is now, initially we were starting on 515, now we're starting at 6.5. Thus then, instead of it ending at 117, it'll be ending now instead at 210. So we need to reestablish the baseline again to account for this, right? So we'll close that up. Again, we'll go back into what? Project, and we'll go to what? Anything in here? We're going to go to what? Set baseline, right? So we click on a set baseline, and again, we'll hit OK. Hit yes to confirm the overwrite. And there we go. So now if we look at our statistics again, we now have everything all nice and copacetic there. So now we're just ready to start the project on June 5th. All right. So that's it. So hopefully this comes in handy. This is probably one of the more important aspects of the program, especially if you're going to be tracking your project. You have to do this first, get this established, and then we'll start tracking the project. So that'll be the next video. Okay, so I appreciate you watching. Take care.